This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Hey, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room. Wow!
And away we go. Welcome to Season 16, episode number 3,457. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, and Mike Hawk. And you are the Men's Room. On tap today, welcome to the exciting return of Week. With the return of Who Sucks Less. We will play Profile This, plus headlines, a Men's Room Shot of the Day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite TV Time with Ted. Clack, all right, here we go. Florida woman chokes her Uber driver right before sinking her teeth into his neck.
Yummy, yummy.
Meanwhile, a Texas teen learns what happens when you joke by putting a fake kidnapping note on your restaurant check. House party in Georgia with 500 people, going great until the home's floor caves in. Woman offering witchcraft services in Florida steals $100K and disappears with a grin. And a jeweler in England guilty of money laundering seeks trial by combat. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, if you called this radio show and we find out that you are a plumber or work in the septic industry in any way, Miles will ask you, and I quote, what's the biggest turd you ever see? That's a guarantee. If you drive a beer truck, how many times a day do people ask you to leave a case behind or threaten to steal your truck? If you're in the Air Force, but you're not a pilot, how quickly do people stop caring that you're in the Air Force? Look, if you have a job, any job, there are a set of questions or a series of comments that you can expect to hear every time someone finds out what you do. And we're all guilty of all the questions and the comments. I mean, hell, even if you're sick of them all, you're still going to hear them again. Look, we work in radio, so we are always asked, one, why do you play the same songs? We're always asked, why are there so many commercials? And when they realize we do a talk show, they always ask, what do you guys talk about? It's a guarantee. And after answering these same 3 questions over and over and over and over and over again, we're usually told, yeah, I don't listen to the radio anyway. I don't know why that is. The only people who ever seem to ask about your job are people that, in my experience, don't even listen to the radio. But today we want to know what you always hear or are asked about or at your job. And that's precisely today's question. What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question you've ever been asked at work?
Be part of the big show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
I'm Glennon Doyle, author of Untamed and host of the podcast We Can Do Hard Things. Each week, we talk openly and honestly about the hard things in life together with you. So join us and some of our dearest friends and greatest heroes to talk about anxiety, boundaries, parenting, infidelity, our bodies, loving and losing, all of the things that make us human. Listen to and follow We Can Do Hard Things on Odyssey and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Back to the conversation. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Oh, but y'all, and away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3,457. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. Yeah, guaranteed future weepeats on the program. That's a fact. The exciting return of Who Sucks Less.
Yeah.
Steve the Thrill Hill brings us 3 stories in the news each and every week. It's up to us to determine out of the 3 stories which one sucks the least.
Yeah.
I'm having a difficult time talking to them. But don't take that as a clue. It could be that I just can't speak. So how are the stories looking today on Who Sucks Less?
They're just effed up, man. I mean, they're just...
Why?
These people are not horrible people, but they put themselves in a situation that no one ever needs to know about. In fact, Mike and I were talking about it earlier. So when we play Who Sucks Less later today, to really the true weight of what you're determining, imagine your mugshot is attached to each one of these, right?
Oh.
Because to me it sounds like, when you come back to work and we go, hey, Ted, I read about you in Police Blotter. This was your story. Like, whichever one you're most comfortable coming back with probably sucks least.
Okay. Who Sucks Less on the way? And, by the way, we invite you to follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live. We have a little poll up there for you today. As one of the 4 members of the Men's Room's name was drawn from a hat. We picked that name out, and then from there, you need to determine over the course of the show which name you think was pulled from the hat, and we will reveal at the end of said program.
That is correct.
If you are right or not. I believe that Ted has been the big winner for the last 2 days in a row. So we'll see how today shakes out. All right, today we're going to ask you, based on a little video that we happened to check out yesterday, if you are on Twitter, what we do encourage you to follow the Men's Room at Men's Room Live. We also would encourage you to follow a guy named Rex Chapman. Rex Chapman used to be a basketball player at the University of Kentucky, went on to have a hell of an NBA career. I think he played for probably a handful of teams, over 10 years or so. But right now, he battled addiction at the end of his career and was very open about it. And he had an OxyContin situation going on, came out, got clean, and then became one of those guys that basically is... he's just one of those guys that, as far as OxyContin go, and especially in his home state of Kentucky, he is a huge advocate of getting these people help, the legalization of marijuana to some degree, other forms.
Because 100% of people in Kentucky are on oxys.
Well, it's a pretty high number. But Rex, he puts up some very entertaining videos, things that make you smile, things that make you think. And yesterday, he had a little video of a guy who is going off on a rant. Now, I've determined, Steve, just because I've watched this video 3 times, at first I thought this guy might be from Pittsburgh, all right? I have determined he is from the Baltimore, Philadelphia area.
I'm going to say he's definitely farther east than Pittsburgh.
Okay.
His attitude, the whiff of accent that he has, it's just the way everyone in that part of the country talks. I am convinced he's from that area.
Now, he worked at IKEA, from what we understand, and basically he just goes off on all the questions that customers have asked him through the years when he was on the floor. Here's a little sampling.
This is cheaper at other stores, then shop there. Why are you here? We need directions? I'll get you some. I'll call you an Uber. Cheaper at other stores. I don't set the prices. I'm a seasonal employee.
Now, he rips off on about 10 of these little vignettes, depending on the situation. And it's one of those things. If you work in a certain environment, if you work at a certain place, depending on your job, you will be asked questions as well. And Steve, you brought up a good point earlier when we talk about radio. And granted, radio is a very different type of job. It's something that people don't really understand how the job operates, so to speak. So you get a lot of weird questions, even from friends, family to this day. I used to bitch about the fact that my mom would call me. Now, my mom lives in rural West Virginia, and she would ask me if I knew any DJs in the area because their high school was going to have their 50-year, 25-year, 30-year reunion, whatever it was. And if I knew anyone, it's the sweetest voicemail in the world, but I'm just at the end of it going, my God, woman. Right. It's like, do you have anyone you would recommend or anything like that? And I'm like, where you live, you think that I know I have a Rolodex of frickin' wedding DJs. Like, you think that I I know a guy called Billy Joe Williams.
And it's a different kind of DJ.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not even the same.
Like
it's not even the same ballpark. But you brought up the point of when people do ask you about what you do. And we do a very unique talk show. From the standpoint of even the world of radio, radio as far as talk goes, if you're listening to a talk station, you're listening to a talk station.
Right.
These are people who are telling you things. They are telling you what they believe, what you need to think.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if you're talking about what you believe the upside of this new third baseman is on the Mariners, and here's why he's going to be great, and here's where he came from. I'm telling you. I'm not going like, what do you think about this guy?
Never.
It's a different world in talk radio. And if you go to the AM dial and they're telling you their agenda up and down. So when you say you do talk radio, then you have to explain, well, we don't do that type of talk radio.
Well, there's only two kinds of talk radio, right? For real. It is politics or it's sports. And in both of those scenarios, like Miles said, they're telling you stuff and occasionally take your calls. Whatever. So people, I understand, you make the assumption that's what we do. And it's like, well, it's not that. So what do you talk about?
What's your show about? Now think about trying to answer that question for us.
I figured it out. And this took us...
Nothing.
I tell them,
I've been saying it for years.
We don't talk about anything important. We don't talk about anything that has any gravity. And we don't talk about anything that ever actually matters in anyone's life, right?
Sure.
None of this is important, but for years, we didn't know how to answer. So even when we got interviewed for this job, man, they flew us to Seattle.
Last question. The last question they asked.
And it was Hair Club, and then at the time, a woman named Melissa Forrest, who's the GM. She's running the whole show. How would you explain your show? And I'm going to recreate this moment, and this is not a lie.
By the way, I'm chewing on seafood chowder, which I should not have got because I was really, really hungover. I was sweating, and all of the clams and oysters were overcooked. So it almost sounded like I was chewing on a rubber band.
All you could hear is...
I'm trying not to throw up. All right, it's noon.
And I had made myself puke right before we left. Literally, we're leaving the hotel. I said, dude, hang on. I got to throw up. And I threw up my Starbucks mocha. Yeah.
All over the place.
And then we went to the interview. Anyway, so they asked us, how do you explain the show? And I said, that was our answer.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Talk about
we went
stuff.
on for like 30 seconds, dude. And it's just,
yeah. You kind of have to hear it.
Yeah, we don't know. So anyway, but we got
what do you like? We'll talk about that. Yeah, whatever the deal is. But you're right, and then...
about seafood.
Okay, but very unique questions we get asked. So in our situation, and this is the one that I always find that's just a little bit different than others, you say, yeah, I work in radio, and I've been doing it for a number of years, and people, the same things you said, Steve. I don't listen to the radio's number one.
Of course, right.
And the next thing words out of their mouth, hey, what happened to Ron and Dawn?
Right.
Where's Jolene at? You know what I mean? Okay, maybe you do listen to the radio. Then the next question comes up, and it's always something like this. How did you get into that?
Always.
Now, think about that for a minute. Now, it's a perfectly normal question. It's just one that we get. If I'm getting ready to go into a surgery, right, and the surgeon comes up and he's going to tell me some things, hey, look, you're going to be a little drowsy. We're going to wake up about a half an hour. Should take about an hour. We're going to be done about 3:30 here. Do you have any questions? Yeah. How'd you get into that? I'm going to assume he was real smart. You know what I mean? And he always wanted to be a surgeon.
No, I disagree.
And then he went to med school, and then he did an externship.
But no. You did all of that. Right. I understand that. But now you're at the point because this doctor specializes in something, right? Because you can say he's a surgeon, but here's the difference. He's a proctology surgeon. So I feel it's fair to say, hey, man.
That's a different...
No,
you're right. You're right.
Can't, no, that's why it's fair to any of them. Like, I understand you're a surgeon. I understand you're smart. And I understand you but dude, you specialize in buttholes.
I would definitely ask about that.
My question is, of all the different... Look, I'm not against him. Glad you're here, brother. I need you. But it just seems to me, did you lose a bet? Do the doctor gods not, like, did you volunteer to really, 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 really deeply, passionately understand the ins and outs and everything specifically about an anus?
Right.
All the different medicines you can get into, man. I even get a dentist. It's your mouth.
There was a year where I had 3 different surgeries, all right?
All on your butt, right?
No. Well, just one major one on that one. And then I also had they straightened out my nose.
Right.
I had a crooked, what they call a deviated septum.
Yeah.
So they put this thing in there and they make it all straight and everything. And that doctor, that surgeon, she did a great job. Actually, could breathe out the other side. Also had work done on the junk. And I had work done in the back. So I had a lot of stuff done. Now, the one doctor who was my butt doctor,
he sound like a car being recertified.
I had to get I had like maintenance required, that light goes off in your car. Like I had like 4 of them go off at once on my body. But the woman who did my nose, she was a wonderful doctor. Couldn't be nicer.
Sure.
Explained the whole process to me. The guy who worked on my junk, great doctor, really nice guy. The guy who did my butt, man, he hated life. He was so angry.
You know why?
He didn't even want to do it. Like
because he specializes in butts.
And that was the one thing.
No matter what he does during just think of it, no matter what you do during your workday, by the time you get home, you have seen more back doors than anyone needs to see, and I had to get all up in it to do something. I'd be pissed too. I'm a doctor. I spent 8 years in school, and for whatever reason, this lapse of judgment, I decided to specialize in ass.
Did you ask him any crazy questions?
No, because I was more concerned about that. That was one of those things where I needed to get that done. Like, and I was not looking forward to it. So, to me, this wasn't even funny. You know what I mean? It was like I was looking forward to this as much as I was looking forward to the second Moderna shot. You know what I mean? Like, I know bad things are going to happen at the end of this, so I don't want to deal with it, but I'm going to. So it wasn't like with the nose doctor, I was like, hey, can you take a little off the sides?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Or, hey, doc, can you make my penis bigger? You know, but with this guy, no, because he's got his hand on my butt.
Right.
So there's no joking. I couldn't even think of anything. Like, you know, what are you going to do? Like, don't lose a ring up there.
Why didn't you do like the Kermit the Frog voice?
What's that?
Just call him Jim Henson.
Exactly.
You're my Jim Henson.
Mm-hmm. So today on our question, what is the question that you always get about your job?
I'm your baseball glove.
Or what
and that's a serious thing you had done. But I'm just like,
yeah,
I just know you well enough. Like, I don't know. It's the butt doctor. You didn't fire off 1 or 2 questions.
Doctor. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, Ted. Because I asked, he's like, would you like to see the operating room? And I was like, sure, man. I'd love to see the operating room. And I walked in there. There are 5 people getting ready for my surgery. Okay?
All right.
There are instruments out. There's like 7 trays. They're taking sterilization stuff out. There's 5 freaking people in this room, right? And then I see the thing that I'm going to be put in. All right? There's like a table, and there's this other thing, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? That looks like something like I'd find in a dungeon. You know what I mean? It was like...
I mean, what are they, like, chaining you to the table?
Well, it's kind of... Okay. It's kind of...
But you got to be face down.
Right. Is it like a sex pillow so your hips are up?
There was two things. One was like a gynecological table, right?
All right.
And then there was one that was like
your face down.
Yeah, right. And then out. You know what I mean? So like
they had
face down, but like out. Like, you know what I mean? Like my legs are like this, right? So I'm looking at this
like
thing.
your third day in prison.
And then I did notice that okay, so like, all right.
Why did you want to see that? I would never want to see that.
So I wake up, I'm pretty sure they take my penis to my stomach. Okay, because I had like this adhesive going across my stomach, and there was like adhesive, and I was like, I think they take my penis up. That's weird. But I
guess they have to.
I guess, just to get out of the way. I never really thought of that, but I was like, okay.
Think about your sleep.
I mean, when I had the hernia surgery, I definitely woke up and there was things shaved, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, you're right. It takes you a second to be like, oh, for the surgery, they had to shave that spot.
Are you sure? Did you ask? Maybe they said it was unsightly.
And then when I'm in there, man, they start to gas me, and I'm looking around. There's like 7 people in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, my God, like, what are they doing to me?
And one's dressed like a clown.
Like, this is crazy. All these people know me very intimately.
See you on the other side.
What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question that you've ever been asked to work? 206-421-ROCK.
I can't believe they had you up in stirrups.
I know.
I just assumed
I don't know if they put me. I don't know if they put me in that one or not.
Did.
Oh, they did.
Because I was in the first one, and when I woke
place.
up, I was in a recovery room. So I don't know where they took me to. I don't think they could have physically picked my ass up. I mean, that's why they had 7 people.
I would have told the doctor.
Dude, those tables move.
Oh, okay.
You think they rolled him down the hall?
I don't know. I'm guessing they started and like put him in the stirrup.
They definitely rolled me out of there. I know that for a fact.
Dude, I will say, in your defense, the other craziest thing I remember, like the first time you have a real surgery, is you should get out and it's like, why does my throat hurt?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, so we had this huge tube down there the whole time. Like, you had what?
Yeah.
When I went to sleep, I was counting.
I know. Exactly. I didn't even make it to 6.
Right?
Hello, JT. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello.
Hola.
All right. So at the donut shop that I work, there's all type of, let's say, people.
Whoa. Hey, you're kidding me.
We'll go ahead and call them
Customers. This is going to get deep.
Yeah. Anywho, so they always come in and they're trying to make like a dozen, right? So people are like, I want one of these and one of those, and how many is that? I'm like, that's 2.
Okay. You know what? You're right. I'm thinking about this now.
I'm guilty of it.
I'm pretty good because I know what I want, and I don't do a lot of variety. My boring life allows me to get to 12 easy, but I'm thinking, yeah, if I'm at a donut place, you're at every single customer there. But basically, you're not just taking the order, you're also their calculator. You're right.
Yeah,
How many is that now?
Aren't there little signs on them, too, that say, like, look, this is chocolate frosted, this is a, frosted donut, this is it a French cruller, by the way, or how do you say that?
French cruller or
cruller.
Honestly,
what does the customer say? I'm not even sure
I call them crullers.
I do, too, but I don't know if I'm saying it
I
right.
say cruller.
I hear crullers more than crullers.
Oh, fine. I'll go crullers then.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question.
Yeah.
How many times do you get people like me? They're like, does the apple fritter count as a donut for the dozen?
A lot.
A lot.
I have.
Okay. Does it count as a
Because
donut?
we just discovered that people here think apple fritters are donuts.
But does it count? Like,
I
it's
think
not a
it counts
donut.
as a donut. It just costs a little bit more than the other donuts.
so, but if I put it in my dozen, so if a dozen donuts is $10, but one of those happens to be the apple fritter, you're telling me it might be $11 now.
Yeah. Usually we just add like $1 per
Damn.
donut.
Okay, let me ask you this. Does anyone ask for a baker's dozen? In other words, can I just get one to go?
If you ask for a baker's dozen, I will not give you a baker's dozen.
Okay, all right.
Unless I pay for it.
Typically, that's if you're at the bakery and you're getting donuts. I know it's typically for bread, but either way.
Just be nice to the guy behind the counter, and he'll give you an extra donut.
Where do you work at? What donut shop?
Henry's Donuts in Monroe.
Okay, Henry's Donuts.
Have you been to Henry's
Oh,
Donuts?
Henry's is great.
Have you been to Henry's?
Not the Monroe location, but I've been to Henry's at Everett.
Whoa.
Really?
Yes, man. They have that. You've had them. Taryn brought them in once.
Oh, yeah.
The French cruller's amazing. I like the vanilla one.
I have had Henry's.
How many am I at?
There's a friend. Can I get an apple fritter for a donut? He's the guy that asked.
But you don't want me coming to your donut
So
shop.
look, if you go to Henry's, just keep counting your donuts. That's all. That's all the same. You want them, keep counting.
Henry's is really good. That's one of my top 3.
How many is that? 2.
I know.
I wouldn't ask on 2, but I definitely, you get to 6 or 7. Like, what are we at?
What's the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question you've ever been asked at work? 206-421-ROCK.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu. Certified to operate by Chev.
99.9 KISW. The men's room is in progress.
What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question that you've ever been asked to work? 206-421-ROCK.
A couple of comments here. It says, this is from our friend Rose in Tacoma, the one-woman spa. Says, as you guys know, I specialize in male, Brazilian, and butthole waxing. Now, people ask me all the time if dudes get an erection when I wax them. Rose, I would never think to ask that question. I can't imagine getting an erection when you're about to wax my backside. But anyway, she says, no, not always. And if they do, typically it's not something they can control. And once I pull the wax off, it goes away anyway.
I would think so.
And also, your beehole doesn't hurt nearly as much as you think it does. Again, that from Rose. This guy says, I'm an x-ray tech. At least once a day, I have a man tell me, don't worry, I'm not pregnant, when I take them back to the x-ray room where all the pregnancy caution signs are visible every damn day. Then I have to pretend to laugh because they think they made it funny. Good times. That from Stephanie. Stop cracking the joke. Stephanie's over your crap. And this one I like. Says, as a bartender, people say, what's good? And people know what they want. That's what's good.
Yeah, or like
what
when
you
ask,
want to drink is what is good.
Right, it's always the thing with the waiter, right? Like, what do you like? It's like, you don't, the waiter and you have different tastes.
Like,
he can tell you what's popular.
Right, that's the way to go.
Well, we're famous for our wings, sir. You're at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Right. What do you recommend? Wings? Then this one they check in. It's not quite work. It says it doesn't quite fit the question, but I'm a twin. My sister and I always get the same questions. Are you identical? Yes. Do you have a twin? Do you have twin telepathy? No. Who is older? She is. Who's the evil twin? We've already agreed that she is. Did you ever switch places for a day? No, we were boring. And on it goes.
Did you ever switch boyfriends for a night?
She already answered it. No. Boring. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hola.
Well, I'm a truck driver, and I get some interesting questions, but the most renowned question that I get is, how did you become a truck driver? And I always tell them I went to school.
You got your CDL license and went to school, right?
I mean,
you go to school for 4 to 6 weeks.
What story do you think they're hoping to hear? You know, if people like some Smokey and the Bandit kind of thing. Well, I grew up on the road with my pappy. I mean, what do you think they want to get out of that?
Most of it's just curiosity because they're thinking of it.
Okay. Now, these are the questions I'd ask you. The first one, are you a serial killer? Because that's a great job if you're a serial killer.
Or are you short haul or long haul?
I'm home every week. So, I mean, every driver out there has different versions of long haul versus short haul. Or, I mean, it's kind of one of those, like, which one do you want to call it? Because I'm still gone from my family for 5 nights a week.
Okay, then to me, that's long haul. So that's more than enough time to be a serial killer. The other question I would have then is lot lizards. How many have you been with, or how many have you shooed away?
I've never actually experienced one of those yet.
Okay. What about this? What would you say is the most beautiful drive on any of the routes you've taken?
I'd have to say a lot of the drives that I go to in Montana are just absolutely gorgeous.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like if I have to drive through Montana, I'd want to be a truck driver because that would justify why I'm in Montana. Not that Montana's not beautiful, but I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I want to know about that macked out bed in the back. You know what I mean?
Why didn't you just ask them?
That would be cool. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, you look at the people who have the Sprinter vans and travel the country in those, or there's always limitations as far as sleep goes. And everything else. But those things in the back, man, they got those things macked out because, like he says, 5 nights a week, he's sleeping back there. Some people have, like, flat screen TVs, satellite TV. You know what I mean? It's just, it's pretty cool.
Just
like,
still small.
Little mini fridge back
but
there.
I'm still, like, in a room that's the size of the mattress. And I'm not with my family, and I'm stuck in goddamn Montana where I don't want to be.
I know.
Yeah, Sprinter vans are really nice. Not that those trucks aren't nice. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It doesn't seem that exciting.
Okay.
You seem like you're ready for the road.
I am.
I know. Miles has always been ready.
I can sleep in this thing.
Miles just wants a vehicle big enough to sleep in, and off he goes.
Right.
I mean,
room
that's been
for
your whole
one
thing.
lot lizard.
Whenever we had that Vanagon, we had a Vanagon growing up, right?
Yeah.
It was a camper Vanagon. So I thought, one day we're going to go camping in this thing after we sold the pink VW bus, right? By the way, we had to paint that tan before we sold it because no one would buy it.
You don't say.
Yeah. But I was so excited. Camper top, pops up, there's a little stove in there and all this stuff. We never went camping in the damn thing. I never got a chance to sleep in it. Anyway. What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question you've ever been asked about work?
Why don't you just rent an RV?
Maybe one day,
He wants to own it. He wants to retire, own it, and then be gone. He's going to Matthew McConaughey the world. You're going to hop in your RV, man, be naked, play bongo, smoke weed, play golf.
I just have golf clubs in the back.
That's what I mean.
And I won't even need a shower because most places, even any
No, you need a
any
shower,
muni you can play golf at. Typically, they have a locker room with shower in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like an easy win.
What's a uni?
Municipal golf course. If you go to Jefferson or Jackson, there's chances are there's a locker room. You could take a shower. I got this all figured out.
You got it all figured out, man.
I got it all figured out, man.
You seen Stinky Miles walking down to Montana.
So I'm saying, just rent the RV. Like, you already travel around and stay at a hotel. Like, split the difference. Get on the road.
Okay.
I like this comment. I used to work at State Farm, and whenever I told a customer that, yes, my name is Jake, they would, of course, ask what I'm wearing. Or if I was the Jake from the commercial, and I would say, yes, I'm the black guy. That was my only chance to live through a black guy.
I mean, I don't know that anybody wants to admit it, but Black Jake is cooler.
Oh, he's definitely cooler.
Yeah.
The first Jake, I mean, he's got her khakis.
Well, they just change them all out like different campaigns? They have different Jakes?
There's a new Jake.
There's a new Jake every campaign, I guess?
No,
I don't know.
This Jake, Black Jake's been around for 2-3 seasons. He shows up during football season. I feel that you'll find out in September when football starts.
Okay.
Right? Patrick Mahomes shows up. What's his face? Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Black Jake.
All right. What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question you've ever been asked at work? 206-421-ROCK.
That was the original Soundgarden song. Fell on Black Jake, but they changed it to Days. True.
Yep.
Hello, Erica. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, gentlemen.
Hola.
So I co-own with my husband a weed business, and the question that I always get is, where is your store?
Don't you want that as a question?
No, I don't have a store.
Oh.
We make concentrates. We do extraction.
Oh, so you're doing like the oils. Now, do you get contracted out from different companies that you supply?
Sort of. We seek business that way, yes. But most of our stuff goes into stores, into retail stores. So I don't have a store, but we sell stuff to stores.
Okay. Now, do you buy your flour from other people, or do you have your own growing facility?
We do not have a grow because we are, between the two of us, we have 4 brown thumbs. So we have to buy flour.
Okay. Well, it's crazy when you go to Eastern Washington. You'll drive by a warehouse, you know what I mean? And some of them have apples in it, and some of them have, but you'd be surprised how much weed is being grown on the east side of the state, man. I mean, because as far as real estate goes, if you need a big-ass warehouse where you're going to grow a lot of stuff, it's going to be indoors and all that stuff. I mean, obviously, the land's going to be cheaper. Yeah. The building's going to be cheaper and all that. So when you go out there, you don't realize that there's no signs on these places, but they are well fortified. And you can tell by looking at the outside, like, I know what's in there.
I think they have, what do you call it, for crypto? You got to mine
cryptocurrency. Bit mining.
Is it bit, or is it crypto? Either way, I know they have some of those out there, too.
Okay. What's the question you always get about your job, or what's the dumbest question you've ever been asked at work? 206-421-ROCK.
I like this one. It says, I used to work at Boeing in Everett. There's about 20,000 people that work there. People always ask if I know Jim.
Mm-hmm. We've heard that before.
People do that with universities, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you went to Penn State? You know Terry?
There's like 30,000 people there a year.
Right, that's what's funny when it's a giant state school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? There is a chance. And that's what's so weird about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if someone said, like...
What are the odds?
Well, do you know, I don't know, Bill, the bartends at, Buckley's? You're like, yes, or wherever. Like, I do know him. Like, you know...
I feel like maybe you could hit the bars for sure.
Because, I don't know.
But no, people do. But it's like...
But a bartender is trading a service.
Right.
Somebody goes to a massive state school with 30,000 people there. Like, I just got to hope that you ran into this dude one day in a class.
I'm going to start lying to people and say yes.
Yeah, right?
You know Gary? Oh, Gary? Yeah. Of course I do.
It's all about Sounders matches.
Talk about Syracuse? Class of 04? I know that son of a bitch.
Everybody did.
Said you didn't go to Syracuse. No, I didn't.
Hello, Danny. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So I used to work at Washington Memorial Park Funeral Home and Cemetery down by the SeaTac Airport.
Before I ask you any questions, I'm going to let you tell me what the dumb ones are.
All right. The dumbest, hands down question I ever got while I was working there was, lady came in, didn't seem to be associated with any of the 2 funerals that I was setting up for that day. So just sat down quietly holding her purse. Finally, I get, everybody ushered out to a ground burial and then another group in for a memorial service in the chapel. I'm just like, Miss, can I help you with something? And she comes up to the front desk and she's like, yes, I would like to make a withdrawal. I was like, excuse me? She's like, this is Washington Federal, isn't it? I'm like, you're looking for a bank? Ma'am, you do not want to withdraw anything from this business. We're a cemetery.
And what did she say?
She turned bright red and she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. It's like 2 blocks down the street.
Okay.
But seriously, you have to pull past graves to park where she parked.
Maybe she thought it was a creepy bank.
Okay, that is something I was going to say. Like, this
is the weirdest bank I've ever been to.
Does it have columns in the front, like the old colonial banks? I mean, what's
No, it's just,
okay.
I don't know what you would think. It literally says, like, funeral home and cemetery. So I was just like, okay.
What do you do there exactly?
I don't work there anymore. I've had a lot of jobs with dumb questions, but I was the front desk receptionist.
Okay. So you weren't involved in any of the stuff that goes on in the back, I guess?
Only if somebody didn't show up for work or got arrested.
Okay.
How often that happen?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I need you to help me with a corpse. I know you're not here for that, but come on back there, Danny.
Well, I'd worked for the King County Medical Examiner before that, so it happened infrequently, but, it happened every once in a while, like maybe a couple times in, like, the 2 years I worked there, maybe 3 or 4.
Okay. See, that never happens in radio. Now, like, hey, man, Dave died. Just come down to the office and help us.
Hey, you got to get back here and see the size of this guy's penis who passed away. This thing's unbelievable. Yeah. You got to look at this one time.
Wait, no, that's not what you do. But see, she has a job at the funeral home where you'd stop asking her questions, right? Guys, Miles, you were saying people asking us about radio all the time. But, we work with a sales team. We have a promotions team. But if you talk to a salesperson, they say, I work in radio. And what do you do? If they say sales, people stop asking them questions.
Well, people understand sales.
If you say I work for an airline, right, we hope you're a pilot. If you're not the pilot, we have few requests, right? So I was saying the Air Force. If you're not a pilot in the Air Force, seriously, anyone that's in the Air Force that is not a pilot, you tell people you're in the Air Force, I know the first question is, do you fly or are you a pilot? And once you say no, how quickly do they lose interest?
Which is unusual,
right?
because most people in the Navy don't steer the boat.
But there's still something interesting about it. Because if you're on a ship, it's the living situation,
drive the
whatever
ship.
It might be, right?
I think the most annoying thing with the Air Force is everybody assumes fighter jets are part of the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And they reference Top Gun and this and that. It's like, that's the Navy.
How do you think they feel?
That's what I'm saying. If I was one of them.
The Air Force is cool because of Top Gun. Like, wasn't us.
Right?
Thanks for bringing it up.
But think of all the people that signed up for the Air Force based on that music.
The Air Force, the recruitment went to the roof.
What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question you've ever been asked at work? 206-421-ROCK.
Danny seemed annoyed in general.
She did, but again, I work at a funeral home. I'm like, ooh, I got a bunch of questions. Front desk, don't care. And it sounds horrible, but like, I
think sometimes depending on who you're talking to, I'll judge whether or not how I say what I do. So like if I don't want to get caught in a conversation, I work for a communications company.
Now that's my go-to line.
Yeah. But like, I just can't imagine like, oh, there's a funeral home. You know what? I'm going to go in there. And then I just walk in. There's somebody at the front desk. I was just driving by. Saw that you guys have grave sites, stones, and all this stuff. I'm just wondering, curious, how much is a plaque going for today? Or maybe can I buy a headstone? Or you got a deal going on caskets? Well, how much is a urn? Or you know what I mean? Like what are you doing?
Do you get your headstone through the funeral home, or is that a separate?
What I'm saying is,
well, it depends because a lot of funeral homes, like where I grew up, are completely separate from the cemetery.
That's how I remember it.
There is some cemeteries that have the funeral home there on premises.
Huh? Okay. They need like an Expedia kind of site. Like, look, you're gonna die someday, but we can grab your headstone, your grave plot, the location, blah blah blah, in advance, right? One package.
I just can't imagine going to a place and going like, how much is that casket for me? Yeah, it's $3,000.
But I'll tell you what.
That's too much. I'm going to drive down the street.
Not caskets, but you should buy a plot. If you want to be buried.
Yeah, I got it.
How far in advance do you buy it, though, right? Say you buy a plot, and then your job transfers your ass to, Australia, and that's where you live the rest of your life. Then you die, and
We don't,
they're like,
know
well,
when, we don't know when this is going to end.
Yeah, we got to fly.
Well, I think the other thing, too, is like it depends on where you live. I just remember my parents getting them when I was a kid, but that was because where everybody in my family, both sides, are buried, Fort Lincoln, like there's no plots left.
Okay,
well, that makes sense.
And you don't want to go there.
You know what I thought was messed up? I was at my grandmother's funeral, and as we're at the funeral, and we're actually at the cemetery now, and they're about to lower the casket, and you're kind of looking around these other headstones. And there was one for a woman, like, I don't know, her name is Mary Smith, and she was alive from, like, say, 1925, died in 1980, whatever. And then there was a headstone next to hers, all right, clearly for her husband, John Smith, born in 1923, died. He hadn't died yet, but they'd already carved the 19 into it.
Yeah.
What if homie makes it to 2000?
He's going to have to buy a new...
Or are they going to whack him because that stuff costs too much? I would be upset with that. Like, I would just like... Why is that already there? Can you just wait for me to die?
It's his birthday. That won't change. Right. Oh, you're saying they had the 19.
They didn't have the expiration date.
What if you live 30, 40 more years, right?
Right.
And you buy your casket now. And then they bring that casket out, they're like, oh my God, that was so 2000.
Right, exactly. That's embarrassing.
Oh my goodness.
Is that Coco Pele on it?
I mean, they've completely changed the stylings on these things now. There's. What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question you've ever been asked at work?
Hello, Jeremy. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So I work for a big airplane manufacturing company.
We'll never guess.
Airbus. I work in what's called metrology.
You know you have to explain that to us, right?
Right. So what it is I work in calibration.
And that means...
Okay.
So what calibration is and metrology is, I make sure all the tools that they're using to put the planes together actually read what they're supposed to.
Okay. You're an important person. I appreciate that.
All right.
So what people, when I say metrology, they'll ask me about, what's the weather like going to be for next week?
Oh, they think you're saying meteorology?
Yeah.
That would be annoying, I think. But you know what? You can say, I live in Seattle, buddy. It's going to be between 45 and 53 with a chance of showers.
Yep.
That makes it kind of easy.
Yeah.
But when you explain what you do you have to explain it to people the way you explained it to us?
Yeah, we do. And explaining that, like a torque wrench, if it's supposed to be 100 foot-pounds, it needs to read within a certain parameter. Then they kind of understand that, pretty much everything you touch, calibration has been a part of that.
You should tell them this, and this is how it matters to people. Just say it like this. I'm part of the process where if I don't do my job right, you die. People will listen, right? Because then everything you say gets real interesting.
And by the way, I'm not taking any more questions.
Right.
What is the question you always get asked about your job, or what is the dumbest question you've ever been asked at work?
I told you the best one I ever heard was a friend of mine said to another friend of mine who worked for the NSA, right?
Yeah.
So it's the next. We got there on a Friday night. We stayed up having drinks and everything. So it's Saturday morning. My buddy, who we call Coach Brady, I don't know if he's hungover, but he's not a huge drinker. He's not feeling great. Right. My other buddy walks in just a towel, and he's like, first he goes, why are you naked? Because he's from South Carolina. Right. And then he goes, Coach Brady, let me ask you a question. You work for the NSA. What is it you guys do? He goes, Shawnee, you talk, we listen.
Damn.
I mean, he's kind of kidding, but just left
he wasn't.
He
wasn't.
I'm going to tell you just enough. Stop asking questions.
Why are you naked?
What is the question you always get about your job, or what is the dumbest question that you've ever been asked at work? 206-421-ROCK.